Send me your selfie, guys, with your uniform, by the way. Mr. Longacre would like to see them. He told me that today.
All right, well, we've hit that time. It's the top of the hour. So I get the pleasure to announce and introduce another fantastic leader within our business and accounting department. So tonight we have here with us Dr. Hills, and just a little bit about her before she gets in her presentation. She studied English at the University of Florida and completed her MBA at ITT Technical Institute. She also completed her DBA with a focus on social impact management at Walden University. Dr. Hills is currently working on, again, our business faculty, they just don't stop learning, man. She's working on a master's degree in human resource management at Walden University. Professionally, she serves as an assistant professor at Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, where she teaches business management, organizational behavior, and business communication courses. She's currently an adjunct business professor at American National University and Philander College in Little Rock, Arkansas. She spent over 16 years professionally developing, implementing, and managing complex projects to meet clients' needs. And she's currently the owner and researcher and lead consultant of DH Research and Consulting. DHRC conducts research-based assessments and trainings in the areas of business development, business sustainability, strategic leadership, and organizational communication. Dr. Hill's research interests include motivational language or leadership, emotional intelligence, organizational communication, business sustainability, business ethics, and organizational behavior. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and kick it over to Dr. Hills.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Hills, and once Lindsay, did you stop sharing it, Lindsay?
Yep, you should be all good to take control.
Okay, I'm going to share my PowerPoint. Does everyone see my PowerPoint presentation? Thumbs up.
Looks like it's starting to.
Okay. Seems like it's frozen a little bit, the screen.
Maybe try sharing again. It looks like it's trying to share because it says that you've started the share screen, but there's nothing up there yet.
Are you all there?
We are, it just isn't showing anything yet.
Okay, hold on. Let me see what's going on my I'm trying to stop sharing so I can start all over again, but everything's frozen.
If you want, Kenyatta, you can email me your PowerPoint presentation real quickly while you're doing that, and maybe I can share it on my end.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, as soon as you said that, now things are moving.
That's how technology always works.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me try to share again. Okay, yeah, everything's going. Hi, everyone. How are you all doing?
You're good to go.
All right. My name is Dr. Kenyatta Hills, and thank you, Lindsay, for introducing me. I'm really interested in tonight's presentation because I'm just going to be transparent. I'm working on my own personal emotional intelligence, not just so that I can build stronger relationships with individuals in my professional and personal life, but more for me so that I can understand my emotional triggers so that no bias or anything like that is done professionally if I have to make a decision or anything like that. So this is another reason why I wanted to present to you all about emotional intelligence. So the overview for tonight that we will be going over is what is emotional intelligence. And you will see the abbreviation EI a lot in the PowerPoint presentation. Is just an acronym for emotional intelligence. We're also going to touch on why emotional intelligence is important, your brain on emotional intelligence, emotions and the brain, emotional expressions. When I get to this part about emotional expressions, we are going to analyze pictures of individuals with sad emotions, happy emotions, and then we're going to analyze those. Emotional intelligence framework, how to develop your own emotional intelligence, how to increase your emotional intelligence, and how it correlates with your job position, and then emotional intelligence action plan. What is emotional intelligence? Now, off the top of my head, I'm just going to let you guys know that emotional intelligence is the process that an individual goes through to understand and also discover their emotional triggers. Emotional triggers may come from childhood trauma, maybe a bad experience that you have lived through in your adult life, so on and so forth. But what it is, you analyze your emotions, figure out what your triggers are, and then put a positive swing onto how you can not only influence yourself emotionally to be more positive, but also influence others when they have negative energy or if they're just having a bad day. But the true definition of emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize and understand emotions in yourself as well as others, and your ability to use that awareness to not only manage your emotions and behaviors, but the emotions and behaviors of others when building a relationship. Why emotional intelligence? Well, first off, emotional intelligence is a strong predictor for workforce or workplace performance. For example, let's just say that I'm the director of human resources and I have an employee come in and they are reporting to me about any type of discrimination, sex discrimination, physical discrimination of the individual. It doesn't necessarily have to be themselves, but it can be of someone else. What it is that while that individual is speaking to me as a director, let's just say they bring in about discrimination with physical discrimination, someone with a physical handicap. No one would know, maybe I have a physical handicap, or maybe I have gone through situations where I was physically handicapped. Okay, for my emotions, maybe that would bring up anger, or maybe insecurity, or maybe even sadness. But it's my job to make sure that I cipher my emotions, get them in check, make sure that I project positivity to the individual who is reporting that. In other words, just because I experience that type of discrimination doesn't mean that I have to put my own personal views or even my own personal views of how I feel about that, because they came in to report to me, not for me to egg them on, adding gas to the fire, making them upset. My job would be as a HR director is to make sure that I have my emotional intelligence in check so that the decisions that I make or the advice that I give is not biased. 90% of top performers have high emotional intelligence. What that is that not only do they know themselves and their own emotions, they can observe other individuals' emotions by their body language, maybe their tone of voice, the way that they look, and even the way that they enunciate their words can tell you a lot about an individual. People with an average IQ outperform those with the highest IQ 70% of the time. And when we speak of IQ, we're talking about intellectual IQ. And then lastly, decades of research now point to emotional intelligence as being the critical factor that sets star performers apart from the rest of the pack. Just like in society, humans, we have the drive to observe. We want to pay attention to an individual's body language to see if there's danger or caution for us. So it's very important that the top performers of an organization, usually in a leadership or management position, they have to be on point with their emotional intelligence. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you guys now a basics of the physiological part of the brain when it deals with emotional intelligence. Now, what we have here is an example of the human brain. And there's 3 parts to the human brain that impacts emotional intelligence. You have first the reptilian complex, the instincts. That's when the fear, or some people, when they get afraid, they freeze up. You know, that's when your instincts come into play. If you feel like you're in danger, you're going to project danger in your face, in your emotions. If you feel uncomfortable, again, you're going to show that emotionally on your face, your body language, your tone of voice, so on and so forth. But from the reptilian complex, which is the instincts, the human instincts, it goes to our lymphatic system, which is our emotions. That's where our emotions are held. Feeling sad, feeling happy, feeling joy, feeling incompetent. That's a feeling. All of those emotions come once those instincts hit it. But the one thing that humans have a hard thing doing is separating your emotions from your logical reasons. For example, right now, I don't know why, but I am extremely nervous. Why? Because back in elementary school, I was traumatized by getting up in front of the classroom, doing math problems and things like that. So every time I present, I have to do an emotional intelligence check on me. And remember, Kenyatta, this is not 4th grade. So that instinct of fear subsides a little bit. And then my emotions of being inadequate or not knowing what I'm doing. I can acknowledge that, but I have to make sure that I have a logical reason for showing those emotions. And at this moment, there's no logical reason for me to show my nervousness or feel like I'm inadequate, because now I'm using my reasoning mind. Why? Because I have studied this. My studying and understanding of emotional intelligence brings my anxiety down. I become more comfortable. I'm able to keep better eye contact. Why? Because of that bad experience in 4th grade. I've learned from that is not happening in the now. The now is better than before, and I'm more confident, and I'm able to relax and present to you all. Subconscious to conscious thoughts. Again, I just want to break down what each part of the brain entails. So we have the reptilian brain. What happens here? Your heart rate goes up. I'm being transparent. My heart rate was up before I started speaking. My breathing was a lot more shallow. Now, these are things that you can analyze on yourself. Think about your breathing. If it's shallow breathing, you're being nervous. But if you're more relaxed, you're breathing from your diaphragm, you're breathing from your stomach. So as I'm presenting this to you all, I'm practicing this as I go. The lymphatic brain, like I stated earlier, with my emotions, I think about 4th grade, nervous, don't know if I'm doing anything right on the board, but we see here that it's triggered by memories of emotions. I stated that in 4th grade, I was so nervous. I felt like vomiting the way that I actually felt from all the nervousness and anxiety. And being that I was presenting in front of my 4th grade peers and my 4th grade teacher, their judgments meant a lot. So I paid attention to their nonverbal communication. If Kenyatta's doing the problem right, if Kenyatta's doing the problem incorrect, or even an expression on their faces, is Kenyatta even doing the right thing? So that's the lymphatic brain. And it also gives you your gut feelings because it's connected to your emotions. And then your neurocortex, which is your reasoning. That's where your language comes into play, your abstract thoughts, your imagination, and your consciousness. For example, I'm going to use myself again. I'm in my conscious mind now to know that I am no longer in 4th grade. I should not be nervous. I should not feel nauseated. Why? Because I'm the subject matter expert this time. Kenyatta knows what she's doing and she knows what she's explaining. Any questions about your brain and the link to your emotional intelligence? No questions? Okay. Moving on to the next slide. Again, your brain on emotional intelligence. It can be developed in 4 different ways. People can feel before they think and act, and that happens a lot as us being humans because we are used to reaction, things happening to us or us ourselves making things happen to others or other situations. Sometimes we act before we think. So with emotional intelligence, especially if it hits a trigger, it's best that you think. Think about why you're feeling uncomfortable. Think about why you are being triggered before you act on it. Second, it's possible to change people's responses and feelings, especially when the individual has an understanding that you do understand where they come from. And that just comes by an individual giving supportive suggestions, supportive information to the individual to let them know, especially in HR, yes, you're coming in to report discrimination or anything like that, but I'm still here to support you in what you're saying and what you're delivering. These changes have a positive impact on individuals and team behavior because when an individual understands themselves, they can understand others. For example, if I understand a lot about my triggers of anger, then when I'm approached by an individual who is showing emotional anger, physiological anger, nonverbal anger cues, I am able to communicate with them in a way to bring their anxiety down or bring them to a calm level so that they can speak and explain without all of the emotion. And then 4th, new behavior improves job performance. Okay, new behavior improves job performance. Now I'm gonna go back to 4th grade again. My new behavior that I have developed from 4th grade is to have confidence even when I'm called on and I don't even know what I'm talking about. Still have that sense of confidence because sometimes when you have a sense of confidence about yourself, things that you seem to forget may come into your mind. So that will help boost up your job performance when it comes to not reacting, but engaging yourself, not only with your coworkers, but people in a supervisor position. And this also can work in your personal lives as well when building relationships. I have a short video here. It's 2 minutes long. It goes into a lot more detail about the emotions and how it has an impact on your brain and on your behavior. So we're going to play this. I hope it plays. Okay, here it is.
When we hear the word emotion, most of us think of love, hate, happiness, or fear. Those strong feelings we experience throughout life. Our emotions are the driving force behind many of our behaviors, helpful and unhelpful. Just where do our emotions come from? Our brain is wired to look for threats or rewards. If one is detected, the feeling region of the brain alerts us through the release of chemical messages. Emotions are the effect of these chemical messages traveling from our brain through the body. When our brain detects a potential threat, our brain releases the stress hormones adrenaline and cortisol, which prepare us for a fight or flight response. When we detect or experience something rewarding, such as someone doing something nice for you, our brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, or serotonin. These are the chemicals that make us feel good and motivate us to continue on the task or behavior. In these instances, the feeling region of the brain kicks in before the thinking part. Sometimes the reactions of the feeling brain are so strong that it dominates our behaviors and we're unable to think rationally in the moment. Our emotions hijack our brain. While many of our emotional responses happen subconsciously, our thinking can influence our emotions, and sometimes this can be unhelpful. Just thinking about something threatening can trigger an emotional response. This is where we can manage our emotions with conscious thinking. Our emotions play a powerful role in the way we experience the world. Understanding and regulating our emotions through our thoughts and behaviors can help us take greater control of our brain and achieve our goals.
Wonderful. So again, our brain is wired for threats and rewards. But a lot of times in our, I want to call it our prehistoric human mind, we link our emotions with our actions a lot. And sometimes that is not a good mix, especially when you're dealing with other people or people that is outside of your brain, really. So you have to analyze what's going on, analyze how you feel, and say, is this really a threat? Or am I just uncomfortable? Now, if it's a threat, then something can be done about it. Either I can go to a safe shelter to get away from the threat, or maybe I can be defensive to back away the threat from me. But in the workplace, even when you feel those types of triggers, I call it put yourself in check. Put yourself in check and ask, why am I feeling this way? Why is my brain going straight to my emotions? Why am I nervous? Why am I crying? And when you find yourself in the now and you analyze and see that there's no real threat, then you can lower your anxiety. You can bring yourself down. So that was my interpretation of emotions connection to the brain. Our next slide is about emotional expression. That's when people looking mean, looking mean like this. And I'm the type of person where, again, I'm working on my emotional intelligence. If I'm concentrating a lot on something, I'll have a mean mug and just frowned up. And people may wonder, is something wrong with Kenyatta? No, nothing's wrong with Kenyatta. I'm perfectly happy in the inside. But what I'm learning is my emotion of focus should not project anger or any type of negativity on my face. If I'm being focused, I should feel focused and just practice having a focused face, which is different for everyone. But to me, my focused face would be something like this. Kind of narrowing my eyes, may still look a little uncomfortable, but I'm being focused on what's going on. Another emotional expression is smiling and happy. Now, I have a friend, when they get nervous or they're in danger, they don't get upset. They laugh and smile. And you're wondering, what's wrong with them? But in their brain, when they face negativity or they face a threat, they automatically giggle and smile. But see, that's something that they have to work on in their brain, because maybe somewhere in their childhood, they were under threat and they felt safe laughing and smiling. So everyone has their own experiences in life. that shows when they have emotions, going through emotional changes, as in IE. So let's go to the slide here. We have individuals here who look happily surprised, happily disgusted, sadly fearful, sadly angry. I'm just skipping around. We also have someone fearfully disgusted, angrily surprised, angrily disgusted, and disgustedly surprised. And then we have a compound emotional expression. Those are happy, feeling disgusted, fearful, surprised, so on and so forth. Now, the first emotional face that we're going to analyze is the face of fear. So this can be something that you all can practice in your mirrors later on. With the face of fear, your eyebrows are going to be raised and pulled together. Let me take my glasses off. Raised and pulled together. Your upper eyelids are going to be raised. You're going to have tensed lower eyelids. I'm trying to do that. And then your jaw is going to drop and open, and your lips are going to stretch like, I'm afraid. I know you guys probably want to laugh, but that's the only fearful face I can make up without laughing. I'm afraid. See, my eyebrows are put together, eyelids up, bottom eyelids are lower, tense, and my jaw is, I'm afraid. I'm trying to make a joke. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make you guys laugh.
We're laughing on mute. We're laughing on mute.
That's the face of fear, my face of fear. And our next is going to be anger, face of anger. Kind of eyebrows pulled down together, eyes open wide, staring, lips pressed together. I'm angry. I didn't get that promotion and I want to know why. I feel like I'm the only woman that's doing this in the job. Why aren't the men doing it? Yeah, anger. So that's the face of anger. And again, the way to analyze that is eyebrows pulled down. Maybe look at the other body language. You saw how my shoulders went up? I'm angry. You made me mad. Sometimes your neck gets veins in it. Sometimes veins pop in their forehead if they're angry. But you have a hard stare like, I'm really, really angry about this. Your lips are tight. That's the face of anger. The next face is the face of sadness. Now, when I feel sad, it's something like this. So you see the inner corners of my eyebrows, they're pulled in together, but you still have that long, forlorn face. Your upper eyelids droop. You kind of poke out your lip like a little baby sometimes when you're sad. If you want to look innocent sad, just tilt your head to the side. Hold your head down. I'm feeling really sad today. Kind of take you to your childhood a little bit, but hold your head down. So if you're in HR director, and someone comes into your office with that type of face, sad, you can pretty much point out that they are not happy. Something has happened. They are emotionally triggered, and you're going to ask questions like, are you okay? Has something happened to you? Because those are questions that will open someone up where the sadness will leave, and then you can actually see the person for who they are. Our next emotional face is the face of surprise. And that can be creepy for different people, but when I'm surprised, I go, or something like that. It depends, because some people, when they're surprised, they may yell. So they want to cover their mouth out of a surprise, or they're surprised like, and they want to yell. But according to the picture here that we have, your eyebrows are not drawn together. They're spaced out. Your upper eyelids are raised. Your lower eyelids are neutral, and your jaw drops. I'm surprised. Happy birthday with a smile. So surprise can be with a smile. It can be with a frown. It just depends on how the individual is feeling when they're surprised. All right. Moving right along to emotional intelligence framework. This framework model has been developed by Daniel Goleman. Now he has 5 realms of emotional intelligence within his framework. It's under personal. Let me move some things around here. You have personal competency, competence, and social competence, and then recognition, and then regulation. And the 5 realms is you have to know your emotions, manage your emotions, motivate yourself from those emotions, recognize and understand other people's emotions, and manage relationships or manage the emotions of other people. Like for instance, I'm just going to pick and choose. We're going to look at personal competence and recognition. That is self-awareness. That's where your self-confidence is going to come from. You're going to recognize how your behavior is impacting other people. You're going to focus on paying attention to how other people are being influenced or reacting to your emotional state of how you're feeling. So if you're talking to someone that's sad, it's important for you to do your own self-check, your own self-awareness, so that you won't project sadness over to that individual. Try to project happiness, comfort to them so that they can be more open to speak to you. That's under recognition. Then we have regulation. That's self-management. That's keeping disruptive emotions and memories in check. Handling change flexibility, because not only do you have to focus on your own emotions, the emotions of the individual that is coming to speak to you may change. It may flip-flop. They may go from sad to angry or angry to sad. You have to know how to flow between the two. Now, under social competence, you have social awareness. That's when you walk into a room and you can pick up on the mood or I like to say energy of individuals that are around you. And also social awareness can be caring what others are going through. And that's when you can ask, how are you feeling today? How are you today? That can open up a can of emotions so that someone can feel comfortable talking to you, so that not only you're practicing your emotional intelligence, but you're also guiding and supporting their emotions to something more positive. And then under social competence, we have regulation. That's relationship management, handling conflict effectively between 2 individuals or either between leadership and yourself. That's if you're an employee, because it works 2 ways. It's not only important for leadership to know, to practice emotional intelligence, it's important for the employee as well, because you're going to come in contact with different people throughout the day. You may have the issue with the coworker. Again, emotional intelligence, put your own emotions in check, and then try to understand, why are they angry? Why are they nervous? Why they aren't up to par with the work that they're doing today that may be impacting the work that you're doing. And also under relationship management, you have to make sure when you are communicating with an individual that you are expressing your ideas and information clearly. Make sure that they have a clear understanding. You can do that by asking them a question. So you're saying that X, Y, and Z, and they can say yes or no. That's for your clarification. And they can do the same thing. Well, Dr. Hill, so you're saying that X, Y, and Z? Yes, X, Y, and Z. Because not only is it important to express the ideas and emotions, but you have to express it clearly that everyone understands, yourself as well as the other individual. All right, self-awareness. I just went over this again, but this is in more detail. You're going to observe the ripple effect of your emotions. You're going to visit your values. What are important to you? Like, for instance, my value that I find very important is respect. So if I want respect from an individual, then I need to project respect. Respect can be listening, not just hearing what the individual is saying, but listening, making eye contact, and your body language being very calm in a supportive way that they feel open enough to express how they're feeling. But again, you're doing your self-awareness, you're doing your self-check. Moving on to the next slide, self-management. That's when you take control of your self-talk. You know, inside your head, there's a little voice inside your head. Sometimes that little voice can give you negative things. Sometimes it can give you positive things, but it can be your worst enemy. So try to practice positive self-talk. Like for instance, I'm being transparent. When I started this presentation, I was nervous and probably stumbling over a few words, but then I did, as I was speaking to you guys, I was doing self-talk to myself. And what it did was I was able to self-manage my emotions of being nervous into being confident. And I'm sure you guys probably saw that in my body language. Another thing that you can do for self-management is count to 10 in your head so that you can lower your anxiety. But what I do personally, I take in 3 deep breaths. Again, not the shallow breaths from up here in your chest, but from your diaphragm in your stomach. Because once you do that 3 times, your mind is going to be calm, your body is going to be calm, and you're going to be more focused on the good things that you're doing and saying, opposed to, oh my gosh, am I saying this right? Am I supposed to say this? You know, all the negative talk. So it's good to have positive self-talk and deep breathing. And also, don't be afraid to smile. Don't be afraid to laugh, because it's letting off that positive hormone that you do feel confident enough to speak to someone in HR about an issue of discrimination that you may have observed or has happened to you personally. Social awareness, again, greeting people by name. Hello, Lindsay, how are you doing today? Hello, Edith, how are you doing today? One thing I noticed about social awareness, and this is in the classroom and in your personal life, if you call someone by their name, it makes them feel like, okay, Dr. Hills acknowledges me. She cares about me. She sees me. Some people don't feel themselves as being seen or acknowledged. So greeting people, that's a plus to help with social awareness. Live in the moment of your talk with the individual. Like me right now, I'm being transparent. I'm living in the moment, speaking with you guys. I shouldn't be thinking about 4th grade, being anxious, standing to the chalkboard. That's in the past. It's time for me to live in the now. I'm Dr. Hills. I'm sitting at my desk in my den, and I'm very comfortable in what I'm saying, and I'm very comfortable speaking to the individuals who are tuned in today. Again, live in the moment and step into that individual's shoes that is coming to you with the emotional intelligence, with negative emotional intelligence. I'm just going to say that. If they're sad, ask questions why they're sad, or even if you know why they're sad, put yourself in their shoes. Maybe their husband just passed 2 months ago and she's just sad. You know what I mean? You have to know how to maneuver around that kind of stuff. Another thing is maybe there's a parent and they're going through empty nest syndrome. Their children leaving. They may be irritated or angry, not necessarily in you or in the job. It's what's going on in their lives. So again, emotional intelligence would be a positive, not only with the individual that's working with that parent, but also for that parent to do a self-check. Why am I so irritated? Why am I so angry? Because it's taking effect on my relationships at work, or it's impacting the people in my home. Why? My baby just left me and I'm sad and I'm worried. So those are things that I say, step into someone's shoes, because everyone in nowadays are going through something emotional. It's just that either they want to express it so that everyone will know, but more than likely they're holding it in because you never know how someone is going to react to your emotions. And you really don't know if the individual that you're speaking to has your best interests at heart. So that goes under social awareness.
Dr. Hills, we're hitting the 6:40 marker, just to
Okay,
give you
here
a
we
heads
go.
up.
All right. Relationship management, that's building trust with the people that you work with, building trust with the people that work under you. If you say that you're going to do something, do it. If you're going to project positivity in the workplace, do that. Be free to receive feedback, not only from leadership, but from your peers, because that's going to help build your relationship. And I am so sorry, I am going over how to develop your emotional intelligence. First of all, define who you are, not only who you are as me, Kenyatta, but who you are to other people. Define what you want to be. I want to be the best Kenyatta I can be, or Dr. Hills I can be, mentally stable, happy. That's how I want to be. So that's how I need to start projecting and working on my emotional intelligence to fit that. Seek feedback. Not only seek feedback from leadership, but also from peers that you trust, like Lindsay. I trust Lindsay. Lindsay, how did I go? How did it go last night? Give me the feedback that I need, whether it's negative or positive. Identify behaviors that you want to keep and behaviors that you don't want to keep. Identify behaviors that you want to develop and behaviors that you know you don't need to go any further developing at all. And also feel free to experiment with new behaviors. Life is new every day. People change every day. So your behavior to different triggers are going to change. So experiment with that. Reflect on your outcome and also practice your new behavior. Research shows, oh my God, 2 minutes over. Okay. Research shows that emotional intelligence has the following conditions on an individual. They become stronger when it comes to motivating or being motivated to learn or change. They tend to practice their new behaviors and they seek feedback from others on how their behavior is being projected. And this, I have one more slide after this. Now, this is the link between emotional and job position. As you all see, the #1 job position that implements and use emotional intelligence the most is what? Management, leadership. So we have managers, supervisors, directors, and then it goes to individual contributors. Those people, they're working not only with their peers, but they're working with their subordinates. So they have to be on top of what emotional intelligence is, how to work it for themselves, how to project it, and how to influence emotional intelligence in others. And then lastly, emotional intelligence action plan. This is what I came up with. First, pick the emotional intelligence skill that you want to work on. Like for me, the emotional intelligence skill that I'm working on is anger. Pick 3 strategies to begin using your chosen skills. So 3 strategies, pick them, that's going to help you on your emotional intelligence skill. Choose a mentor. Choose someone that you have observed to stay cool-headed, listens, not just hear, but they listen. They take their time to make decisions based on their emotional intelligence as well as the emotional intelligence of others. Keep the following in mind as you apply these. Expect success, not perfection. Do not go for perfection because that's going to make you anxious. And if you as a leader is anxious, that's going to feed over to your employee or whoever you're speaking to. Again, practice, practice, practice. This is something that has to be done daily. My emotional intelligence of anger, I have to work on that daily. Not just anger with people doing things to me, but just anger of what's going on in the world and what is being done to my friends and family members. Again, be patient. Not only be patient with yourself, but be patient with others because everyone has their own things going on. Everyone's emotions are high and low. Everything is moving, but you have to be patient. And lastly, measure your progress. It's nothing wrong with, I have my notebook here, writing down how I feel every day. Another word for it is journaling. If you're working with an employee who always has a nasty disposition, you need to know why does that nasty disposition trigger? Kenyatta, okay, this is why, so I'm writing it down. What can I do for myself to make sure that I remain calm and that nasty disposition doesn't impact my behavior? I write that down. How can I influence the other individual by changing how they react by having a nasty disposition? I write down some things on there. Okay, practice. We have to go back to practice when you're measuring your progress. Practice. I've worked with Michael. Still no progress. What can I do this time again? Okay. I did more nonverbal communication with him. He seemed to be calm with that. So implement positive nonverbal communication when working with Mike. I know I rushed through the last few slides, but I hope that this presentation at least opened you all's eyes to the idea of what emotional intelligence is, the importance of emotional intelligence to yourself, and also the importance of implementing it in the workplace for self-awareness, for social awareness, social management, and relationship management. Thank you, and that is it. Does anyone have any questions for me? No questions? Jim, Constance?
Hi, Dr.
Okay, Yvonne.
Sorry, Dr. Hill. I just have a comment. I was so happy to, and this might sound crazy to hear you talked about what happened to you in 4th grade, because that's one of the things that caused me to have a fear when I speak. The only time I feel comfortable is when I'm teaching, because as you mentioned, you are the subject matter expert and you know what you're doing. But whenever time I have to speak, and I'm going to pull Dr. Leyland into this, I remember she said, Yvonne, I'm going to pull you out of your comfort zone. And I warned her, if it doesn't turn out right, don't blame me, blame yourself. So when you start the presentation, it's the same thing with me, even though I know sometimes what I'm saying. And for me, my topic is, I do it every day, but I've never spoken on this topic before. So it creates a little bit of nervousness for me, and I'm always nervous to speak. So I learn a lot from what you were saying, and I'm going to practice those 3 deep breaths, especially on, I think it's the 13th when I have my presentation to do. So that was a really good tip.
Yes, those, it's just because I'm learning to, and I'm transparent every time I present. So me personally, I'm learning that your breath really has a lot of control over your emotions, because it helps calm your brain, calm your muscles, because everything is getting that fresh oxygen to it. So you're more calm. You're not uptight, like, oh my gosh, my brain cells doesn't have any fresh oxygen. So you panic attack mode, you know what I mean? So it's take those deep breaths.
Yeah, and I was laughed at in college too. I was asked to speak, and I have an accent, and I guess they were laughing like, okay, she's not gonna get this. So that gives me that fear, and it was so fearful for me that I tried everything to get out of public speaking in college, because I did not want to stand before the class. So I have a similar thing happened to me. It only difference is 4th grade for you. For me, it was here in college, and I was a grown woman. I was about 30 or 28 when I was laughed at because of my accent, and they're like, oh, she doesn't know what she was going to say. But knock on wood, I nailed it when my instructor gave me a standing ovation. So that kind of boosts my confidence, but still have that little bit. Thanks for the presentation, was good, and I learned a lot.
You're welcome.
Yara and I will have a conversation about her emotional intelligence and her trust. We'll go from there. This is a sideline conversation. Well, that was really great. Good job. I guess we were gonna head on to Jim's. Do you guys have any other questions who are on this?
Yeah, Dr. Hill, this is Dr. McGarren. Everything you said was really on target. What I'd be interested in is when you are in HR and facing situations that are mixed issues. For example, person comes in angry, emotional, and basically yelling at top of his voice that the people here in this building and everybody here is prejudiced. And so you're showing a concern, a genuine concern about the person's situation, and you start to pull the string and you find out that the person is indicating that it's prejudiced because all the chairs and tables are built for basketball players. This person's short, 5 feet, 5'4". And so I can't reach the tabletop. And so you start to say, you know what, this is a funny situation. And you can't stop from smiling and laughing, which is a direct opposite of what that the client is wanting to see. How do you handle that?
Me personally, what I've learned from working on this second master's is listen and control your emotions. Allow them to flip-flop from their emotions one to the other, whether it's sad, anger, disappointment. Allow them time to do so. And just while they're doing it, in your mind, you're doing your own self-evaluation, because maybe that could be a trigger for you and you didn't even know it was a trigger. Because I'm 5'4". And and you know, I don't want to feel discriminated against because I'm 5'4" and the chairs don't fit individuals that's 5'4". But does that go against policy and procedure and laws that are in place? Is it true discrimination? That's when you ask the question.
The point I'm trying to make is that sometimes it's easier said than done. And sometimes the situation gets to the point where you just can't help yourself but laugh at the situation. And so it is a difficult situation. That's why I faced it. I'm 5'4", 5'4" in the morning, 5'3"3/4" around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As a matter of fact, CJ and I see eye to eye. But anyway, it is what it is, and I'm interested in.
He's in
knowing
San
how people-
Diego, so we see each
Okay,
other.
so that's how we see the bridge. Okay. Well, it was a
All right,
pleasure.
guys. Well, thank you for coming, and I will see you guys in Jim's presentation. Again, the FDP certificate is going to be done next week. And then since you guys are already here, I have a report to run and find out if you won the giveaway by Friday. All right. Good
Thank
job.
you, Dr. Hills.
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Hills. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
That was